This episode is sponsored in part by PTZ Optics. Why hire a camera operator when the control is in your hands? Visit ptzoptics.com for more information. And by NewTek, makers of the TriCaster TC1. Stun your viewers, not your accountant. Visit newtek.com for more information.
Well, it's that time again. We are here for another episode of Creators Corner, and I have an awesome special guest today. But before we get to him, I just want to let everybody know that if you do put in a question, we're not ignoring it. I want to make sure that the guest has plenty of time to speak on what he wants to speak about everything that's happened in his life, basically tell his life story and get all that information that you guys want. But then we want you guys to be free to throw in, even if you already wrote it in there, throw in your question again. We'll put it in there. And even after the show, if you're watching this in reruns, feel free to put a comment down there. I know all of our guests go back and check the comments and are happy to respond to you guys. But it's a great pleasure and honor to have this gentleman on. You guys may know him as GameDad, but we have Mr. Kris Carlson. You're the GameDad, right?
I try to be.
Everybody's favorite dad, right? You're the video game dad. So, what do they say that about on TV? Everybody's favorite dad. You got like Leave It to Beaver and.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're everybody's favorite dad in the video game world. How's that?
Fantastic.
So.
Just call me dad. No, let's not go there.
Well, before we get into a little bit, why don't you give everybody just kind of an overview of what you do, and tell everybody how you got you work at GameStop. Everybody can see back there. He works at GameStop. He's living in GameStop. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So I mean, it's funny. I was talking on a recent podcast about that. How I never used to get the game store comments before. Now, literally everyone is like, "Are you in a game store?" Like, even my boss during a work meeting at one point, he was just like, "Oh, so you're going for like a game store aesthetic, huh?" Like, I guess so, yeah.
No, it looks awesome, and I know we're going to get into that. Guys, if you haven't done so, head over to Kris's channel. GameDad Show is what you're looking for on YouTube. I met him up in Cleveland with a bunch of the other creators. He's got a really good setup along with a lot of great content. And the best part, and we're going to pull that up later, Kris, is the everything that you did to that fabulous game room that you have there that took a lot of work. It's always a lot of work, but the reward was worth it, right?
Yes. Yeah, and ironically enough, the video I did of building the game room, it bombed harder than like basically any of my videos. It was so bad. I don't think it has more than like 200 views. It's bad. But then the room tour, that did a lot. And yeah, so I don't know.
Funny.
Bad title, bad thumbnail. I don't know what happened, but I enjoyed it.
I followed it. I was following it. I think I met you. You were still putting it together when you were in Cleveland, right? Or you were on the finishing end of it, I think. Yes. So I was anxiously awaiting the final product, right? To see it. But you were, I think, technically done. You just didn't have the video done and upload. I think that was something like that.
Yeah, because I finished the space, but I knew that I was going to be doing a full room tour, and because of part of the editing, like if you watch the room tour, it shows the whole empty room, and then it cuts to me, doing like the snap transition, and that those two clips were taken about 3.5 months apart. So I had to go back and watch it. I'm just like, okay, what did I say? Like, I don't remember what I did. Wait, how long was my facial hair? Like, I want it to be congruent. But yeah, the room itself took me, it took me about 3 months, 3.5 months. And I want to say, when did I start it? I started it sometime in June. Yeah, I want to say it was sometime in June. I had bought like a little bit of the wood. I was like, yeah, I might as well. I got to buy some, and I'll get started on it. And I started with one wall, and boy, did that spiral out of control real fast.
Doesn't that? Isn't that always
But
how it
yeah,
works?
so it was either I was almost done or I had just finished by the time of Cleveland.
Okay, because that's what I remember. I know you were telling everybody, hey, you've got some conventions coming up. Hey, it's going to be there. And we're going to get into that. But I want to go back. I want to, like I do with all my guests, because this is about you. This is your time to tell everybody. If you've been a fan of GameDad, or maybe this is the first time anybody's seeing you. Let's start in the beginning. When did you start realizing that you had this passion for video games? I mean, is this a collection that you built from when you were a kid, or were like most of us, we got rid of it and then bought it all back again?
I am like most everyone. Yeah.
Okay.
So I will say the thing that got me back into collecting was not so much that I had seen like a game being played or anything like that. I just kept remembering back to my childhood. I wasn't actually allowed to have video games. The last like video game thing that was bought for our household was for my older brother, and it was like, I want to say it was probably like 91 or something like that. The Super Nintendo was either out or about to come out, but my parents, for my brother's birthday, got him the deluxe action set. So he had gotten that and a couple of games, and love it or hate it, Fester's Quest is just ingrained into my brain.
It's a good game. It's a good game.
And I had that, and then whenever he moved out, because he's 11 years older than me, so he moved out long before I was of age. And I remember I would get games from friends, I would trade, I would do, whatever. And I ended up with an okay little collection. But then as a teenager, I liked money more. And ended up trading. I remember one time I traded in, it was a massive stack of NES games, where now it was probably, $1,000 worth of NES games, because it was all the big ones. And I traded all of that in to GameStop. Thank you.
So you really got ripped off.
Oh yeah, I got enough to still owe $5 on, I think it was like Halo 3.
Oh man, that's not good.
But yeah, I mean, I had a little collection, and then I would like play games at friends' houses and stuff like that.
Well, let's go back a minute. You said you weren't allowed to have video games. Is it your parents just thought it was a waste of time, or they just kind of felt like it was going to rot your brain, or?
It wasn't like the rot your brain stuff. I mean, my dad, he's a bit more old school.
Okay.
He is definitely from the earlier side of the boomer generation. And I like construction and all that stuff his whole life. So very much the stereotypical, construction male. It was, why are you doing that stupid thing when
you could
be out building something,
yep,
or playing outside, or play sports ball. And I mean, I did play sports ball. I played baseball for like 9 years as a kid, and definitely loved every single minute of it. It was great. But yeah, so it was a lot of that, and they would never buy me games or anything like that. My mom, she didn't really care. She was kind of indifferent to it. But my dad, he went from being like, games are dumb, to like being vehemently against them.
Oh, wow.
Like, I remember when the N64 came out, and I wanted an N64 so badly, like to the point where like I'm drawing like 3D renders of the N64, and I'd run up and show my parents, Christmas, Yeah, and it would be the only thing on my birthday list, the only thing on my Christmas list. And finally, I still remember this day. It was, my dad was just like, I'm never buying you a game of anything. It's never going to happen.
So and just get it out of your system.
Yeah, basically. And I'm just like, well, that sucks. And I mean, when I was like 12, 13, I had saved up like money from chores and things like that. And I bought my very first handheld, which was the Glacier White Game Boy Advance. So that was awesome. And then as I would save up allowance, I would be allowed to buy games. And then like I had a friend gift me a Sega Genesis for my birthday one year. So I mean, I had games through other means, but never through my parents buying it. So
they didn't care
they
if you
wouldn't
got them.
actively prevent it. They wouldn't go do it.
They just
themselves.
wouldn't spend the money. They didn't care if you traded a transformer away and got a game. They didn't care as long as they didn't spend a dime on it.
Exactly.
So with that being said, though, and I know we're gonna get into it deeper. Just answer like yes or no. I know your dad had a big hand in the game room that you built. Now, has your dad's thought process on video games, now seeing what you're doing on YouTube, now seeing that your passion for it, has it changed at all?
No.
Okay, well, and we'll get into that because this is really interesting now. Now we're getting to some of this.
I remember before we moved across the country, we were sitting at my last house, and my dad's just kind of like chilling in my lazy boy in the middle of my game room, like my old one, and he's looking around, and I was like, "What? What are you looking at?" Because he sees like the collectibles everywhere, the consoles everywhere, the giant pile of repair things that I'm doing, and like all the stuff. And he's looking around, and he's just like, "God, video games are stupid." And I'm like, "Bro, like, get out then." Like, why are you sitting in here? So yeah, that's pretty much how his thing is. I mean, both my parents are retired now, and I keep threatening to buy my dad an Xbox because he'll sit there and he's like, I get bored, and I'm like, you know what you could do? You could play video games. Yeah, and he's like, oh, it's stupid. No, there's other things. I have my Facebook. I can go online, and I'm like, no. I'm gonna
talk about a big colossal waste of time going on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
That's like the cesspool of any. You could literally waste so much time and look at your watch and go, "Oh my gosh, I've been on here for a half an hour." Like that's Thank God for automation.
It's definitely not a good combo of being on YouTube and having a disdain for social media. Like if I didn't have the channel, I would not be on social media at all. I don't care.
It's all like I use it a lot because like you, my parents live like 6 hours away. So I understand that side of things, right? Where you're keeping up with friends, maybe close friends, mainly family. But I'm kind of with you on this. Like, yeah, it's just more hassle than it's worth at this point in time.
Yeah.
Right? So, all right. So you had to do all this. You got your brother moves out. You get his Nintendo Entertainment System. Things still never change. When did you really start getting the games? Because, like you said, you liked money. You needed money. Mm-hmm. Was it later on in life, like most of us, after we've gotten married and we've decided to drive our wives nuts, or what was the?
So it wasn't driving my wife nuts. It was driving my girlfriend nuts, who became my wife later. Yeah, I just started. I had a 360, and like we'd gotten a Wii, and we would do like party games, stuff like that. And then at one point, I sold like my entire Wii collection, and then I ended up getting a lot of that back. But it was more like I wasn't going for collecting things. I was going for just wanting to like just get a couple of games as they came out, and then I would play the heck out of that game, and then I would get another game. But I would never trade it back in because I was tired of doing that and getting zero return. Sorry for the coughing, by the way. Still that lingering cough from being sick a few weeks ago.
Oh, you're good, man.
But yeah, I would just kind of like pick it up here and there, and then I remember a buddy of mine and I, we went to a flea market, and we're just like, yeah, let's go to a flea market. Why not? So we're going looking around and came up on this one booth and happened to see. They had a Super Nintendo and like a few other consoles there, but they had a Super Mario RPG. And I remember playing that with my cousin as a kid, and I was like, oh, Mario RPG was awesome, man. And at this time, the game was only like $80. So I was just like, that seems expensive for a Super Nintendo game, but whatever. So I picked it up, took it home, was so excited to play it because at some point I had gotten a Super Nintendo. Go to play it, doesn't work. And I'm like, crap. And then I'm immediately like looking up. It's like, okay, are they open again tomorrow, the flea market? So we go out there and find the same dude. And I'm like, bro, the game doesn't work. And he's like getting ready to leave and stuff. And he's like, here, follow me to like my storage unit area. We have one there and we can test it out.
That's
Starts
never
immediately.
good.
Turns out my Super Nintendo was like totally dusted. It was good, like good to go. So I ended up buying a Super Nintendo from him. Good salesman. But got it home, started playing, and started collecting a lot more. And that dude actually became a good friend of mine. His name is Corey, and he is Retro Attack 831. So he was very, very big on Whatnot for a while. He goes back and forth like selling games and doing whatever his heart desires. But the amount of games that I got from that dude, I probably bought over 3,000 games from him over the next several years after that. And like some of like the coolest pieces in my collection were just gifts from him. There's so many random things that I have in the collection where it's just like, holy crap, like really? Okay, thank you. And then after that, up until that point, up until probably about 2017, I would just get games that looked interesting or that I remember from my childhood, and that's what I would do. And then, as with most people that start collecting, that spiraled out of control big time. And from there, I started buying basically, if it could go in a game system, I got it. And if I didn't have the game system, I got that.
You bought that.
And that ended up becoming a lot. And just started collecting like crazy. And up to that point, I had never really watched YouTube or anything. I was just kind of like, I don't get it. What is the point of this? Like, why am I watching videos of other people? I don't get it. And then one day I happened to just go on YouTube and I saw a Metal Jesus video, and it was one with John Riggs. And couldn't tell you what the video was. Don't remember at all. But I remember thinking, it's like, oh, this is kind of cool. He's talking about like old games and everything. But I specifically remember John talking about modding things and like repairing old consoles. And I've been involved in tech my entire life. So I was like, that is super interesting. So then I started watching John's channel, and then shortly thereafter, I ended up becoming a Patreon subscriber. That came with a Discord perk. So then I became very, very active in his Discord. I ended up becoming the primary mod of his Discord. And then now there's another chat thing that we're a part of. And it's kind of the rest is history. Like, I don't think I've gone more than a day or two without talking to John or like any other the other people like Gary and Jay and just all of these other people. Like, there's a bunch of us in there, and I don't think I've gone more than a day without talking to them for probably the past, what year is it? Since 2018.
Wow. Wow.
So, I mean, and we've all become good friends. And then that's how I started like going to cons and stuff like that. I mean, Riggs, he was just like, yeah, PRGE, that's the one to go to. If you're going to go for your very first one, go to that one.
Right.
And went there and was instantly hooked. And now I go to as many cons as I can. And then now I'm here. My collecting has definitely become more curated.
Well,
but yeah.
Well, and that's what I wanted to put out there, because I know even for new people that are watching this that maybe don't know who you are, or even fans of it, you know, there's always that bad vibe that, oh, they're just collecting for YouTube. They're just looking for views on YouTube, when there's a lot of guys out there, like me, even yourself, and you mentioned Metal Jesus, John Rick. A lot of these guys have built their collection because they enjoy it. They collect what they enjoy. I've been collecting what I enjoy, regardless of of what it is. And I think that's important to mention. So when people see this, they don't sit there and go, "Oh, he's just doing it for views." Like, this is as genuine as it gets. He genuinely loves this stuff, and he genuinely wants this stuff around. But I mentioned about, you said then your then girlfriend, now wife, having a problem with it. I know I talked to a lot of different creators, but also collectors, that their wives are just like, it's confined to one section of the house. As long as he doesn't move it from that section, we're good. And then there's ones like, absolutely not, kind of like your parents. My wife's the opposite. She loves coming down here and playing stuff. She's not as hardcore, say, as you or I are, but she does enjoy it, right? So I think that's important, right? I think that's kind of helped you a little bit, having that support.
Yeah, it definitely has. She used to game with me more, but it would always be frustrating because she would always try to kill me in the game. We could be playing a Mario game, and she'd wait until I'm hopping over a pit of death, jump on my head, and it's like, honey, we're supposed to get there to the end together. Or Little Big Planet. Good Lord, I nearly broke my TV so many times because I was so frustrated at my wife constantly destroying me. But yeah, I mean, she is supportive, but it's more that she is indifferent to the collection. She'll very much be like, "You got a lot of crap."
Yeah, it's always crap, right? It's crap.
Yeah, it's always crap.
It's crap.
She's just like, I don't understand. She was telling me earlier today, she's just like, I don't understand the mind of a collector. Like, I don't get it. I was like, it's okay, honey. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like how many pairs of shoes you have. I just don't get in. The mind doesn't comprehend.
Yeah. Like, we don't need to talk about that.
Taylor Woods in the chat room. She says, I'm going to bring this up because it's actually kind of funny. Do you have Mario Kart set up on your Peloton? Awesome setup.
No, is that a thing?
I've apparently there's been people that have somehow maybe hacked it and put it on. I don't know. I'll let her kind of validate that, but I thought I saw some stuff on YouTube about it.
Well, that'll make me work out more. I'm just leaving a search up for later. Let's see, Mario Kart on Peloton.
Yeah, he's gonna look it up. Here we go.
That rabbit hole later. That's amazing.
Yeah, Retro Rob is confirming. Yeah, that great. He says, I'm new to that group, and it's great. He says, and definitely talk every day. That's cool. I mean, that's what you need. You need people kind of. There's a few creators that I talk to daily, and I think that's the hardest part, right? Is surrounding yourself with people that are encouraging you, like bringing you up instead of tearing you down. There's too much of that out there, right? Like people want to make you miserable. If they're miserable, they're going to try to make you miserable. So I think that's awesome having an outlet like that, because like you said, you can't talk to your wife about it because she just doesn't understand the mindset of a collector, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And like, she knows, she's just like, wait, who are you talking to? I was like, chat. And she's like, oh, yeah. And she's like, why do you always talk to them? I was like, think of it this way, honey. It's not a video game chat. It's my men's group. That's what it is.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
There, yeah. I mean, there have been women in there before, but it's my men's group.
It's your intervention, right?
It's my 42. It's the secret to life, the universe, and everything.
There you go. So you've got this. You got it set up. You had your old game room at your old house. Did that play into getting a new house, getting a new game room? Did that play a lot into the decision to do that? Because I know a lot of people, it does.
It did not have any bearing on the decision to move, but it had a lot of bearing on the decision to what we were going to get. Because we moved from California to Michigan, and California, basically no basements anywhere.
Right, yeah.
Michigan, lots of basements everywhere. And I was like, I am going to have a basement, because before I was in the garage and it got cold. And here, now in Michigan, it's cold enough you'll die. So I was like, no, I'm not going to be out there. I'm going to be frozen, and I don't think things will work for very long.
No.
So we knew that, yeah, we were going to get a basement space, and we knew, because I wasn't getting, like, I got rid of some stuff, but I was going to be keeping the majority of everything. So I needed to have the same square footage, if not more, than what I had before. So before I was at about 700 square feet, and now I'm about 1,000 square feet. um, so that was a big deciding factor. Not so much like, it had to meet XYZ for all of our requirements as a family first. And then once all of those were met, it's like, okay, what kind of basement does it have? And if it was something where it's just like, no, there's no way, that's more of like a little cellar or something, then that wasn't going to work. Because it's also my office space. So like where I'm at right now, this is my desk where I work. So we had to have enough room for the family, and we had to have enough room for me to have my office space, but also move the whole collection. Because there was no way it was going in the garage again, and there was no way it was going inside of the main part of the house.
Yeah, and with California, you have that dry heat even in the summer. When you're in Michigan, if you were in the garage, now you have dew points through. Yes, you have the humidity, but the dew points are through the roof, so all your manuals, everything is going to get all wrinkly, and it's just not good. So it's good, but I think that was smart for thinking about that. Now, have you told your wife it's almost time to move again because you've just about filled this room up that you have there?
No, I think she'll hurt me.
I'm kidding, everybody. I'm kidding. He's not. But I think it's interesting how when you start thinking about this and you have a collection, you've gotten rid of stuff, and now you see the opportunity of expanding even more. You're going, I can get all that stuff back. Like your mind starts going right down that road.
So it does, but I've been pretty good about keeping myself in check on that. Like a lot of the stuff that I got rid of was things where it's like, okay, I haven't collected anything for this in like 3 years. I don't care about this anymore. So I sold off like the majority of my PlayStation stuff. Not newer PlayStation, but like PS1, 2, and 3. I sold off the majority of it. And then like Sega stuff. I was always a Nintendo kid. I was never really a Sega kid. I sold off basically my entire Sega collection. So sold off a bunch of the stuff where I wasn't playing it, I wasn't using it, I wasn't even touching it, to the point where it had like a layer of dust on it. And it's like, okay, I'm clearly not doing anything with this. I might as well sell it. And luckily prices went up, so I made quite a profit on that. So that was nice. But it was also my last game room. It got to the point where it wasn't so much that I could show off a cool collection. It was it was looking messy and cluttered. And no matter what I would do, it would just be messy and cluttered, and it drove me up the wall. Like, I'm not a super clean person or anything like that, but that was bugging me. Like, this stuff, or right there, that stuff right there, is really bothering me right now. But it's stuff that I'm going through that still isn't unpacked, like from my old business and all that stuff. And it's just stuff that I haven't had time to finish going through yet. So I want to keep this as a clean, organized space. I got plenty of shelf space down here, and I got plenty of shelf space over here. I think I had figured it out. If it's based on like a standard like DVD case for games, I think I could fit. I want to say it was like another 800 games down there right now.
Wow!
So I'm good. I'm good.
So you're good for about a year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a year, 2 months.
With all the conventions, you're good. You're good. You're good. So currently where it sits right now, you start a YouTube channel back in 2018. You decide, hey, I'm going to do this thing, and I'm going to call myself GameDad. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why you came up with GameDad. I always ask the creators, where you came up with the name. It's not just because it sounded cool. There's got to be a story behind what brought you to GameDad.
I wish I could say it's an interesting story. I like games, and I'm a dad.
How did I know that's how that was going to go? No, but I mean,
it's out.
No, but seriously, like I didn't know if there was anything to it as far as like, because your dad didn't like games, so you were gonna be like, so I'm gonna be the game dad, since he would.
Yeah.
So he could see it all the time. You started GameDad. You started the channel. You have on the channel that you do tech. and we can pull it up here in just a second here. But you do tech, you do all kinds of stuff, right? You do video games, modding. Talk about some of that stuff. What made you decide to venture down this road of doing YouTube, and what were you thinking?
So, what I was thinking is I was tired of making my wife and friends annoyed with me, because I would always tell them, like, the thing I like to say a lot is I know a lot of random crap about a lot of random crap, and that's especially true with video game stuff. So I would always be telling people, "Hey, did you know this?" And the first few times they hear it, they're all right with it. When they keep hearing it, they're less all right with it. And finally, my wife was just like, "Why don't you just make like a YouTube channel or something? That way you can like get all of this out." And it's like, go talk about all your games and stuff. So that's what I did. And the only conditions she had for me were your audio can't suck and you have to get lights. She's like, if you're going to do it, don't make it look like crap. Everybody needs lights and nobody ever uses them. I was like, yes, dear.
She's not wrong.
Yeah. So that's what I did. And we were talking about that recently. She's like, I said that? Yeah. And I was like, yeah, you told me those were the rules. I had to get good lights. And she's like, huh, okay. But that's how that started. And then I started getting heavily into modding and repairing, mainly repairing stuff. But then I started getting more into the modding side of it. And that was because of Cody at Pink Gorilla. And I would watch him on Twitch all the time. And that kind of like became like my nighttime routine. I would watch him sitting there cleaning and repairing stuff as I was cleaning and repairing like bundles of stuff that I got. And learned a lot there, then started getting into the actual modding side of it. Like, it's like, oh, I want to replace the shell on this with a different color. So did that. And it's like, whoa, I can put a better screen in. How do I do that? So then I learned how to do that. And then I got my very first arcade machine, which was a Street Fighter II Champion. And it needed a lot of love. And I kind of just dove into the deep end on how to repair like PCBs and do like replacing caps and stuff like that. And then I got that the DK Junior back there, and it had a vertical scrolling issue on the screen. So for people that don't know, it literally looked like the image on the screen was like a rolled up piece of paper on the side of it. And the cause of that is the caps leak. The capacitors on the actual PCB for the screen itself. So took it all apart, did a full cap replacement on it, and next time I turned it on, boom! Now I got DK Junior and it works. And I was hooked. I was like, "Oh, this is freaking cool, man! I made this whole thing work." So started doing a lot more of that. Now I have a whole drawer of mods and stuff that I want to do. I have a big one of my Ultimate series. I have a new Ultimate series coming up soon. I'm probably going to record that this weekend. But that's coming up. And then actually tonight, where's it sitting? One second. Tonight. So this is going to be tomorrow's video. This right here. This is Jay from Square Pegs. This is his Retron 5. And the power jack on it broke off the board. Oh. So I have lots of experience replacing the power jacks on Sega Genesis Model 2s because they notoriously suck. So his jack came off, so I was like, yeah, I can do that. By the way, I'm going to make a video about it. And he's like, all right, cool. So I recorded that earlier. And then I got to now edit that, and then that'll be tomorrow's video. But doing things like that, like repairs and stuff, and then I got the big mod project coming up. I have a few mods that I've been sitting on for a while and just haven't done because I'm not super confident in my soldering skills on them yet. Like there's one to consoleize the Virtual Boy. I've been sitting on that mod for a while. I did a mod as part of making the Ultimate Xbox, and I kind of stopped the process of those videos because I messed up part of the mod with flooding it with solder,
Oh,
and I didn't know how to fix it, but I do now. So I'm gonna do that. And then I actually just recently picked this guy up right here. This is a pack of PCBs, and they are soldering practice kits. So it's like one of them is like 150 circuits, the other one's like 200 something, and the biggest one is like 300. But it lets you practice doing like surface mount soldering and all kinds of different stuff. So that way I can get better at that, so I can do more
yeah.
complicated mods.
I
But
think.
the biggest one is doing SPs and
Oh,
or like Game Boys, and then doing the modded screens and stuff on
I think everybody in this space, if you're collecting for retro, you should learn a little bit about modding in some capacity.
them.
I don't go as deep as you, but I am going to watch your videos when you do get into some of this PCBs. But I've been taking the Stone Age Gamer. I've been taking a lot of like my like Jaguar and stuff to get recapped. My Nomad got a new screen,
Hmm.
recapped it uh, because of preservation. Right? We
Yeah,
collect these things for a reason. So if you know how to fix them, hint, hint. Everybody needs to subscribe to GameDad's channel. You need to learn how to do a little bit of this, and I want to learn because I know there's going to come
yeah,
a time where I'm going to have to do it with, something you mentioned about the Sega Genesis. I've also noticed that on the Game Gear, Power. I don't know what you want to call it, the little plastic square that it's in
hmm
sometimes that will break. I've seen it on some of the
oh, yeah.
Game Gears. So I want to
They
know
use
how
the
to
same
fix it.
power adapter.
Yeah. So that's something I think in this space, that's how you keep these things alive, right? You have to do that. It's not just necessarily modding it so you can get 1,000 games on your system, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like, of course, I've done those mods too. I don't encourage piracy, but if you figure out how to do it yourself, whatever, that's on you. Um, but yeah, I like doing those kind of things. The things that will either repair or improve upon the handheld or the console in some way. Like if you have an original Xbox, I can all but guarantee that there's at least one capacitor you need to replace on it, and that's called the clock mod. And I guarantee you, if you turn on your original Xbox and every time it asks you to reset the clock, it's because that capacitor has leaked.
Mm.
It is a very straightforward thing to do. You open up your system, you just heat up those solder points, pull one out, put the new one in. It's 2 solder points, and that's a good intro if you want to try and mod something.
I
Um,
was thinking that on the Dreamcast because every time I turn the Dreamcast on, it always asks me to set the date and time. So it's
so the
probably
Dreamcast is, I love the Dreamcast. It's a very cool console. The power supply board in that thing, oh, that was dirty, dirty power.
oh
That was
really?
not good power. Oh no. So I actually did the Ultimate Dreamcast series, where I made my Ultimate Dreamcast. And in that, one of the things that I did was replace the power supply board. You can replace it with, and so that it's a barrel plug with an external brick,
Okay.
and it takes up like a quarter of the amount of space, and it is much cleaner power.
Well, those are things that people need to know, and like that's awesome. So you got into all that. You like the tech. I know you were sharing with me a little bit before we went live that you were either in IT or you were thinking about it, or you're like, thank God I don't do IT anymore.
Yeah.
Um, so you have a technical background.
Mhm.
Um, at what point when you say IT, were you a network administrator? Did you do a lot as far as that goes, or did you just kind of tinker like a lot of us do and fix computers and that type of thing?
So I wasn't a network admin, but I did a lot of. It was basically hardware and software user support. I just saw Rick message.
Yeah.
I got you. Let's do it. Let's mod it. Um, but it was end user support. So I would do networking as part of that and everything. But oh no, I was not the network admin. No, thank you. But yeah, when I was in California, my day job out there, I did IT managing all the tech for a couple of elementary schools for about 15 years out there. And then now I work for a software development company.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So you have that background in tech, and that's it's great to see that you're bringing all those passions into your channel, and being able to help other people, right? That's the premise behind it, right? And be able to do that. Guys, what we're going to do really quick, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about the future of GameDad. We're going to see, what are some of his plans that he has and some of the things that he's going to be doing right after this. Hey guys, let me tell you a little bit about something to do with energy. We all could use a little bit of energy in our lives, especially when we're gaming out there, right? We could all use some form of energy supplement, something to keep our mind sharp and our energy and our focus on the games. And that's where one of my latest partners, and that is MAW Energy, MAW Energy. And I want to tell you a little bit about it here today. And they have a plethora of different flavors and choices amongst everything that they have here. At MAW Energy, the mission is to fuel the gaming community with the highest quality energy. And that's one thing I like about these guys. They have a highest quality of energy focus blend on the market. And their special formulated energy drink provides gamers with sustained energy bursts and focus without the jitters and crashes. I can tell you that for certainty. Commonly associated with all the other energy drinks that I've seen personally on the market. And they're passionate about the gaming community and understand the unique demands that it places on the mind, the body, and even the soul. That's why we've partnered with this company to bring you the MAW Energy. Now, you can click on the link in the description below and check it out using my personal link. I get access to everything here, and I get credit for it. And you guys can see right here, Blue Raspberry. Blue Raspberry is one of my favorites. In fact, you guys will be able to see right here. I have the Blue Raspberry here, and this is one of my favorites, actually. I have this one, and I have the Mythic Melon. I haven't given that a try yet, but this so far, one of the things that I like about this is the fact that it's not chalky. A lot of times with these energy drinks, you get a little bit of chalk in there, and what I mean by that is that chalk aftertaste, or it doesn't dissolve. I can honestly tell you from experience, this here dissolves. So give it a try. Click on the link below and in the description and give it a try. You won't be sorry. I know I'm not. All right, guys, we are back, and I appreciate everybody that's tuned in so far. You're watching this. We're talking with Kris Carlson. You guys know him as GameDad, and we're talking about how he got to doing what he's doing. And one of the things I want to get into, I know you have something you want to say first, but I want to get into this whole thing where you said, your parents didn't really give you or let you buy you any games, but you grew up with something else, and I want to get into it because that kind of plays onto your room and building that room, right?
For sure. Yeah. So first, during the little ad break right there, and my wife sent me a text and said that I was putting out some fake news about how I started the channel. That it was her that told me to start the channel, and I have been asked to make. Well, she didn't ask me to make her correction. I said I would. But correction, it was a bunch of my students that were telling me to do that.
Oh, okay.
To make the channel. I had forgotten that, so I told her that I would correct that. But yeah, so there you go, honey. I corrected it. If you're still watching,
happy wife, happy life. That's the way it works, right? So
yeah.
Hey, she could have had
fun fact right there. My students. I owned a martial arts school for 12 years too.
Well, as I was going to say, maybe she has a student sitting there watching it right now, and now they're all disappointed and bummed because you didn't even give them credit for it. So
that's their own fault. Go do some damn push-ups.
So you talked a little bit about how your parents were anti-video games, but you managed to get some. But there was something else that you learned, and your dad was a carpenter / he worked on job sites. You had the privilege, if you want to call it a privilege, of being there, right?
At the time, I wouldn't have called it a privilege.
Oh, no kid would call it a privilege. Now that you're older, I'm sure you call it was a privilege.
Now it's like, imparted wisdom from the old generation. Yeah. Yeah, so my dad was a contractor for, uh, I think it was like 40 years, 45 years, I don't know, a really long time. The town that I grew up in, there is ended up being a gated community there, but like he built the entire community there. I remember being on the job site of almost every single house that was built in that development, and it was always like I wasn't a kid that went home. I was a kid that if my dad picked me up, I went to the job site afterwards because uh, he'd be there until 4 or 5 o'clock, and obviously I'm out of school before then. So I spent basically my entire childhood and much of my teenage years on a job site, and it would start with like, okay, here's block, here's hammer, go bang on this over there and get out of the way. Don't touch sharp things. And then that developed into, hey, there's scrap and bent nails everywhere. Go pick all that crap up. It's like, okay, all right. And then he would every once in a while he'd show me how to do something, or he'd let me cut something. Not with power tools. He'd give me a handsaw, and I don't like handsaws. Handsaws suck. I like power tools. Um, but over time, that instilled certain knowledge and values about building. And one of like my mantras with life is, if you can do it yourself, you shouldn't be paying somebody else to do it for you. You can always learn a new skill. There might be physical limitations to certain things, of course, but you can always learn something new. And I knew how to frame walls. I knew how to do insulation. I knew how to do basic electrical, and because I grew up being around all of it. And as a teenager, the church youth group thing that I was a part of, I went with them to Mexico for a couple of years in a row, and we would build houses in Mexico. So I got experience doing that. And all of that came in super handy when building out the game room. So I did all of the framing in here. But I will say there was one wall with a couple of studs on it, and I don't know if she's watching or if Jay is watching. But Jay's wife did help nail a couple of studs in the game room. Credit where credit is due. And then Jay's son helped with a lot of manual labor, moving things around. I got to boss somebody around now. This was great. It's like, yeah, there's scraps everywhere. Go pick that crap up. But yeah, built out the walls. I did all the insulation myself. And something else my dad had instilled was, adhering to proper standards when building. That's how I discovered that the builders of this house did not follow a standard with my floor joists here. They're supposed to be, what is it, either 16 on center or 24 on center, and they were 20 on center. And the reason they're either 16 or 24 is because guess what size insulation comes in?
Right, 16 or 24.
16 or 24. So guess what didn't fit very well when I went to go do the ceiling? Yeah. So it was up there super janky. But it was more of just sound dampening,
right,
is what that insulation was for. So it wasn't the end of the world. And I had done like basic outlet and light work for electrical, but didn't have enough experience for me to be comfortable running the actual lines. So that's where my buddy Thor from Hey It's Thor, he I don't know what his exact title is. He might tell me in the chat right now. But I always say he's an electrical engineer because he deals with like kill you power, like real lots of power stuff.
Stuff that can kill you.
Yeah, like it'll kill you and your next 3 generations.
Right. Yeah.
Like big boy power. Using acronyms that I don't understand. So he agreed to come down. Hey, Scott, no worries, man. But he agreed to come down and help me out. So he helped me run all the electrical and then all the data lines and all that stuff for Ethernet and HDMI. He helped me get the conduit up there to be able to run all of that. And then sheetrocking. I had hung sheetrock in like small batches before, but never on this scale.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I didn't know how to do mudding. So that was the only thing that I actually like other than like some electrical work we had done, that was the only thing I actually hired out for. And now moving forward, any other project, I ain't hiring out. I'm gonna do it myself. Um, but did that, and then my dad helped me install all the flooring in here because I had never done flooring before. I mean, yeah, it's all like tongue and groove stuff, but being able to like get the angles, making sure you start right so that the whole room, the floor is square and all that. I had never done anything like that before. Yeah, see, there, he's in the chat. Lead engineering technician, but he has a degree in electronic engineering, working to be a full engineer. There we go. Oh, there, popped up on the screen. So I was right. He's an electrical engineer. But yeah, I mean, did all of that and then got all the primer, the paint, and all the other fixings in. But yeah, I would say probably 90% of it I did myself.
I mean, that was one thing. Now, you guys didn't hear this, but before we got on here, I was telling Kris, I was like, I was anxiously following this because when I had met him, I was back and I was watching this, and I was like, sometimes you see people do DIY projects, and you're just like, yeah, you're saying it's not hard, but there's a reason why you hire a professional or something, because you could tell that they did really like shoddy workmanship, and listen, they're doing it themselves. I get it, right? But I have to say, like, I was looking, I was like, dang, man, like every progression of video that you did, I was just sitting there going, wow. I mean, that's not my cup of tea. I don't do, like, my dad's really good with that stuff. He used to be a contractor as well back in the day. So he tells me hold the board, I hold the board. My thing is, the buddies of ours, when we were in a band, we were making a drum riser. This is how much I know about this type of stuff. I
remember doing that, making a drum riser.
We made a drum riser. We took an old shelf and put some 2x4s and 1x6s on it and stuff. But they had me cut the boards, and I couldn't understand why the saw blade was smoking and it was burning the ends of the wood. Never use a concrete blade on wood. I'm just going to leave it at that. I learned very quick.
That's why your dad had you hold the board that way.
That's why I said, listen, I'm not going to knock. I don't do that kind of stuff. You give me a phone or computer or something, I'll fix that in a heartbeat. That stuff I don't touch. So it was nice to see you be transparent in the video and say, look, I'm going to try this. I'm going to do this. But you weren't afraid to say, you know what? Yeah, I had to get some help here. Yeah, I had to hire out for this because you wanted it done right. Like you said with your wife, when she said about the microphone and lights, like, go big or go home and do it right.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, still, I'm not going to pretend that it was cheap. And I mean, that's not accounting for like labor hours, where if I go off of my regular hourly rate, it was significantly more expensive than I said in the video for that. But still, it cost me about a third of what it would have cost for me to hire a contractor to come out and actually do all of this.
Oh, I'm sure it probably was a couple grand more at the minimum,
Oh, it would have been significantly more. So in our area, for a completed basement, like if they're doing everything, so from start to finish, you're looking at about $75 a square foot.
Wow.
So yeah, and it's 1,000 square feet.
Yeah, that's not it. And I'm going to pull this up here. Yeah, it's you. I'm just going to pull this up, guys. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I just kind of want to show you a little bit of the emptiness, and Kris, you can bring up stuff as you're as we're kind of looking at, because I want you to go watch it on his channel in full frame rate, 4K. But I wanted you to kind of see a little bit of.
It was a good transition
around. Yeah, it was nice. You had that Thor snap going on there.
It has not been that clean since that video was shot.
I love how you did this too.
Is the mountain of boxes I have hidden in the mechanical room.
Even that, you had a mechanical server room. I mean, you kind of went, and that's what, if I had the ability to do it, I would absolutely put a lot of my. You saw my rack in here. I would love to do that. Put it in a server, a cooled room. You got it. But you have, like you said, plenty of room. And one of the things that I said, one of the things I said to Kris was, I love how he still replicated his setup for his YouTube videos, even in the new room. Like that, when you're branding yourself, I think that's kind of important. You want to try to keep true to it. It's okay to change it up a bit, but your audience, man, Kris, they get mad when you change a song that you use as your intro or how you say something. They're like, well, why didn't you say that? You always say that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, yeah. And with how much of an ordeal and a saga it was to get those bookcases, because I got them at like the height of COVID.
Oh,
And fun fact, the IKEA Billy bookcase is the #1 most popular bookshelf ever sold in history in the world. It is the most popular bookshelf of all time. There's some nice bookshelf facts for you. And that is what those are made of. And it took, what was it? I think it was 3 months, 4 months
oh
for me
my,
to be able to get those because they were sold out worldwide.
oh my.
Like I couldn't even pay shipping from another country to get them. They were like, nope. Talk about Tom Selleck. Tom Selleck is amazing. Has the greatest mustache of all time. And yes, I have a standee of Tom Selleck. And the reason I have that is because of my grandma. My grandma, Tom Selleck was her like top favorite human being of all time. And that was one of the things whenever she passed that I it was like, well, do you want something of hers? And I was just kind of like, I don't really want anything. I'm fine. And then my mom was just like, are you sure? Your cousins are taking like little keepsakes, things like that. Do you want anything? And then I remembered, and I was like, fine, I want Tom Selleck. And the reason I wanted Tom Selleck, one, because of her love for that man, but also because it's a conversation starter. And every time it comes up, that means the story about my grandma will come up, and my grandma will live on that way.
That's smart. That's smart. So I got to ask you, like as we're looking at this, your dad helped you build this. He instilled the knowledge in you to build this, but then you had him help you with certain things. Did he ever try to talk you out of making this a game room as you're building it? Say, you know what, son, you could use this for something else. You could make this a home gym, or you could make this a really nice workshop or something. Did he ever try to talk you out of it?
Not even once.
Wow.
And actually, once it was done, like he doesn't care about the video games or anything like that, but I mean, he can appreciate craftsmanship. And when it was done, and I mean, I consider it high praise coming from him, but he was just like, you did a really good job down here. It looks really great down here. And I'm just kind of like, yeah. And if I go around, I can nitpick the hell out of it. And I can find lots of things where I'm just like, damn it. Damn it, I don't like that. No one will ever see them.
No.
In fact, like it's been finished down here for months, and I think it was yesterday. My son was down here, and he happened to look up to a spot right here. Thor will know what I'm talking about. Jay might remember what I'm talking about, but there's something on the ceiling, and my son never noticed it before. It's been there for months, and he's stood under it dozens of times and never noticed it. And he's like, "Daddy, what dat?" And I was like, "Oh, it's a box."
That's awesome.
Box in ceiling? Like he was very confused.
But that's awesome to have your dad, kind of validate, you put your blood, sweat, and tears into this. This is something that you wanted to do, have a real nice game room, a collection. And then for him to say that, now you have all this stuff in here.
Mm-hmm.
He comes down and sees it for the first time with all this stuff in it. What's the reaction?
I don't know. He hasn't seen it with all the stuff down here.
Oh, he hasn't been back since.
No. They will be coming for a visit in the future here. But no, he has not seen it complete. I mean, they both watched my room tour.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, they haven't seen it in person with all the stuff down here. But anytime if they come out here, I mean, this is where people will sleep is down here. Like on the other side of this wall is the media room.
Oh, okay.
And yes, Thor, I bet he will like the drop down screen and movie area. And he actually has the same TV as me now, because as soon as my wife and I left California, my parents stayed for not very long thereafter. And they live in Texas now. And as soon as he moved, I came out and helped him like wire up his whole house and everything. and I convinced him, much to my mom's dismay, that the 65-inch TV that they had was just it wasn't the right size. It was
Right.
too small.
Right.
That's a bedroom TV. So got her on board with the same TV that I have, which is a really nice 85-inch Samsung.
Nice.
And as soon as I got it mounted above their fireplace, I was like, "Look, Mom, see, it's perfect. You have a ½ inch of clearance on either side of your fireplace. It's perfect. It fits." She didn't like my reasoning.
She didn't like it.
Yeah, but she likes the TV.
Yo, they always don't want one that big until you get it that big, and then they go, we could almost go bigger, I think. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I don't understand the logic.
Yeah.
So what else do you have to do yet to the room? Like you said, you're still kind of finagling. You got the arcade back there, the DK Junior. Are you looking to add more arcades to it, or are you just kind of like a one and done? You got a deal on it. You knew how to fix it. So
my garage is actually filled with arcades right now.
is it really?
Yeah. So I've also got a Make Tracks. I've got a Shinobi. I've got my Street Fighter 2 Champion. I've got a Nicktoons Racing. And I've got the Simpsons, and then I've got a pinball machine. But 3 of those I'm actually taking with to Midwest Gaming Classic to sell. That would be Simpsons, Shinobi, and Make Tracks. I'm going to take those 3, and they'll be priced fairly and leaning more towards aggressive. So, I mean, if you want a great deal, then come on down. But as far as like the Simpsons one, if that doesn't sell, that's coming down here.
Mhm.
The pinball machine is one that eventually will be restored. I'm going to need Thor's help tracing a couple wires on that one. But that'll be restored and it'll come down here once it's done. And then probably the Street Fighter as well. Outside of that, though, I probably won't bring down any more arcades. As far as other stuff to go down here, I got a couple of shelves that I'm still going to put up in the media room, just for like displaying stuff. Nothing crazy,
like statues and things from collector's editions and things. Yeah,
exactly. But the mechanical room is where the most work still needs to be done. I got like the skeleton of my workbench in there, but that's going to be my space for, and all the stuff is in there right now. It's just so cramped in there with other crap that it's you can't really use any of it. But like my embroidery machine is in there. My 3D printers are in there, and then all the stuff from my martial arts school is in there. Anything that I didn't sell off or give away before we moved when I closed the school down, it's all still in there. So I got to go through it all and figure out what the heck I'm going to do with it all.
Wow. So you are going to be buying another house?
God, I hope not.
Or at least a shed. My wife keeps suggesting I build like this big he shed outside and move everything out there. I'm like, she's just trying to get me out of the house, I think. Who knows?
Exactly. Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, I definitely want to get a big shed in the backyard to also use as a shop. Like a wood shop for projects and stuff, because I love building stuff.
Yeah.
And
could have built your shelves. You wouldn't have had to have IKEA.
Well, the shelves that are down here are like the generic Amazon floating shelves. We had them in our master bedroom, and we didn't like them and took those out, and I built the new floating shelves that are in there.
That's probably a good thing, because the ones like you just touch them and they like fall apart. Like I have those. I have those as well, but well, except during COVID, the wood was like 10 times what it should have been, right? So
yeah, that's for sure.
I totally get it.
But yeah, so I'll have that to do with the shelving, and like I want to build a shed, but in our area with all the permits that are going to be needed to build a shed, even like from a box store. I told my wife, I was like, well, I mean, if we got to get a bunch of permits anyways, maybe just get it and we'll just expand the garage.
Yeah, there you go.
Just to add like technically a third bay, but it'll just be a door, like a side door that leads into it.
Yeah.
And I can just put the shop in there, and then any of landscaping, all that stuff goes in there too. But yeah.
So we talked about how you got started, how you kind of got into this, where you're at right now. What's the future hold for you? What are you looking to achieve? What's on the horizon for GameDad? What are you really striving for? I mean, everybody on YouTube wants subscribers, everybody wants followers, everybody wants to be recognized. let's hear from you. What's your goal?
I would say my goal is for the channel to be completely self-sustained. And like my hobby completely self-sustained. So like, yeah, I make money on YouTube. I do not make enough to cover everything. No. Um, so if it got to the point where it covered the cost of everything that I do related to the channel and like game collecting and all that, that's perfect. I am not looking for this to be my full-time gig or anything like that. Um, but if it could cover that, and if it got me invited out to more shows and stuff, like I'll go to shows regardless, and like conventions and stuff.
Yeah.
But if it got me invited out to more of them, I mean, awesome. I
Yeah.
love going to conventions. As far as like the channel aspect of it goes, if I can just make videos, people enjoy them, and it's enjoyed enough to where I get to like go and meet more people and go to conventions and experience things, then that's ideal. That's all I care about. That's fun.
And this is what I've talked about before. These are the type of creators that you want to surround yourself with. The guys that are, they're to help you, support you, all around. Like a bunch of us, we've all been working together, talking to each other, trying to help each other out. And there was something else that you said. I see a pendulum switch, like change in the YouTube space, and you kind of confirmed it to me, even behind the scenes, without actually knowing that you were confirming it to me. One of the things that I seen was that quality is overtaking quantity, in the sense of, back in the day it mattered, how many subscribers you had and this and that, but you made mention to me, you were even saying like, yeah, at this point, people are coming at you, even if you don't have a lot of subscribers, but you're putting out quality content and you're a nice guy, and that resonates, because that's what everybody should strive for, right? Is putting out good content, but also you made the effort. You made yourself a better room. You gave yourself the ability to have better lighting, audio, networking, the whole nine, because you're setting yourself up for success. You're not just kind of, we're just going to strap a light here and do like you're actually putting the time into equality to step away and set yourself apart from everything else.
Oh yeah, and like Thor and Jay and Riggs and all them, they can all confirm. For years, I was talking, like, it was well before anything with this space. I was talking about, man, I'd love to like redo my space, and like I want to put bars in the ceilings that I can hang lights and cameras from, and I want to do like these different angles, and I want to be able to have this camera going here. And Riggs is like, I use my phone, and and I wanted to do it, and finally a couple of months ago, I officially went multi-angle, meaning I have my main shot,
Right.
then I have a side shot, and then I have a permanent top-down shot.
Nice.
And then I have a dedicated B-roll camera, and then I have my phone. But it's been a lot of fun. My buddy John, over at Biddy Kong's Quest, he is actually in the filmmaking industry, and one of these days I will get him to spill his secrets and violate NDAs. He denies it, but he'll tell me. But he gives so many tips and is so helpful with things like Resolve and stuff. He's actually like some ultimate ninja Resolve teacher trainer thing. I don't know what his title is, but he's like one of the few people on the planet that is like a super duper expert with this, and it has like all the training to be a certified instructor with this. So he helps out all the time, and he was the one that helped put together a list of with my budget and stuff to get the cameras that I got, and to really like help me step up my game with what I wanted to do. I was like, here's what I want, here's the money I have to do what I want, and then how do I make it work? And he helped me through that whole process. So that was awesome. Like tech stuff, I know. Camera stuff, nope, I don't know that.
But you know what? You're working within your means. You're working within the confines of your knowledge, and leaning on people to learn how to do this kind of stuff. It's not easy. I mean, they're two different animals, right? Doing YouTube videos versus like what I'm doing now is live. Like I can do this in my sleep. But when you go to do edited video where you have to kind of storyboard it out in your head, like, and think about how you want to do it, that's a whole new world for me, because I never did YouTube like that. YouTube was always live shows, and you
Yeah.
know, I learned there's no mistakes, right? And now you're telling me to edit stuff, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh my gosh!" So, it's a challenge, right? So you're taking the same thing, and you're trying to incorporate multiple camera shots. So now you got even more editing that you have to do.
Yeah. But it's nice because not a sponsor, but it would be really cool because they got a lot of money. This thing right here, oh my god, I love this thing. This is the DaVinci Resolve Speed Editor, and it is so cool and makes my editing so fast because I can scrub through with the little wheel right here. It's kind of hard to see, but like all of these keys are specifically for multicam setups. So I'm going through and I'll import all my footage, get it synced up with its waveform, and then I'll just watch through. And then now, with the way it's all set up on the back end, I just be like, all right, yeah, that camera now. Okay, go back to that one. And then once I do that through the whole video, then I'll go back through and I can kind of roll the footage forward or back to get clean transitions. And yeah, it's awesome. So it makes it so nice. When I first went in multicam, my first couple of videos with it, I had 3 different video tracks, and I was like cutting and splicing and moving things around. And then I remembered, why the hell am I doing this? I have a speed editor that's designed to do this. Hang on. So went through and learned how to do that, and I was just like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Next, we'll have to do it where I'll sit down and talk with you, where you can use software and other things that you could switch it on live, like you're recording your YouTube video but you just hit a button and it switches to that camera, so you don't have to even go back and edit it. It just switches to that camera, like we're doing now.
My buddy John was telling me about that too, and I was just like, dude, I don't think my brain can handle that.
Oh, it's but it's kind of like it's muscle memory. That's the best way I can explain it. Like you get used to it, and I don't know. I'm all about saving time if I can with that kind of stuff. But no, I mean, listen, anything that that takes your videos to the next level, I'm all for it. Like I love seeing people do their thing, do it different, and that's okay to be different. That's what you want, right? That's what people are coming to see you guys for. I think some of the videos that I personally enjoy watching of yours is I love watching your gaming monthly boxes where you kind of do the blind pull out, and you got me on the one video because you said probably the worst box or whatever, and then they sent you a replacement game or something. It was like you didn't really get a really good value, and then they sent you like that whole thing, the whole experience is like, oh, he can't see this, that he's just gonna have this look on his face. You and Jay does it too. You're just gonna have like, oh, you can just see you're trying to be excited, and then you're just like, oh, like really, you're gonna send me this game, like really?
Well, and like you just mentioned, trying to be different.
Yes.
So I'm being real different with those videos now. I think I did it in the last one, and it'll be in the next one. Here, I'll even.
Oh, he's pulling it out.
I'm not blind boxing it anymore because when it comes in the mail, I want to see it. Dang it! So
you don't want to wait 3 days.
Here's the next box. I know what's in it, and you all have to wait.
I don't
care about the blind box anymore. I'm just doing it. Dang it!
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It was fun. I mean, but you also have to adapt, right? And if you're not enjoying it, it doesn't matter if we're enjoying it or not enjoying it. You got to do it. It's for you. Well, guys, why don't we do this at this time? I loved his answer with why he's doing this, and being totally transparent and down to earth. I want to put this out there to everyone. If you have a question right now and you've been sticking with us this long here, we'll probably wrap it up here in about 15 minutes. Put it in the chat room. We'll pull it up for Kris. Kris, you've been a terrific guest here, and I really appreciate all the positive words everybody's been saying about this series as we get more and more content creators on. I love this because I love to hear. I would have never gathered that information just by watching your YouTube videos, and most people don't think to even do videos about themselves. They want to just talk about whatever product that they got, right?
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I like free stuff. Anyone watching, you can send free stuff. It's not e-begging if I'm okay with it.
But yeah, if you've got a question for Kris, throw it in. I know some of you guys have been throwing in questions as in comments as you've been going, but we'll put them in here. I know there's a little bit of a delay from when the time that they get there. What about I'll kind of get it kicked off so we have something kind of going here. We talked about your YouTube stream, YouTube videos and whatnot. Have you kind of thought about even doing like video game live streaming? Have you thought about going into like doing a podcast or any kind of live streaming? Does that even interest you in any way?
So I was on Twitch, and I got a fairly decent following. I haven't looked at it in a while. I mean, I was up to, I think the best stream I ever had was 75 concurrent viewers. And I was like, holy crap, like people actually want to watch me? That's weird. And I want to get back to streaming. I just haven't found a way to kind of work it into my life yet. But yeah, I mean, what I used to do was, as I would be preparing myself for game reviews, I would live stream the entire playthrough of a game. And it would be my way to like kill two birds with one stone. I would be able to capture footage. I would be able to play the game and interact with people and live stream.
Right.
And then I would have content and knowledge about the game to talk about in a review.
Cool.
So I definitely would like to get back to it, but yeah.
So Retro Rob's got a question for you. He said, Kris, he goes, you have the room with a weirdo for MGC. 2 beds. Are you taking the one by the door or the wall?
Well, I mean, that depends, baby boo. Which one are you in? I will take the one that's comfortable.
There you go. Paul Barris wants to know, Kris, is that a real Donkey Kong Jr. behind you? Where did you get it from?
So I have to be honest. When I first read Real DK, I thought he was saying something else. And I was like, bro, I don't even know you. Why are you calling me that? Like, yes. That is a real DK Jr. behind. And that one was at my wife's extended family's house for a very long time. They had it, and I think they got it from the original owner of it, which was like some amusements place, like an arcade or whatever. And it was originally 1989, I think is the date that's on the amusement sticker. But they had it, and they said I could have it on the condition that I drive up to them to pick it up, and I'm not allowed to sell it. And here it is. I moved it across the country, so I didn't sell it.
All right, so here's another good one. This is from Game Closet. And every week he asks the weirdest question, so that's fine. This is great. Perfect. He says, so I ask a variant of this question to everyone. There's a fire in Jay's game room. What brand of marshmallows are you bringing? That's a tough one.
Brand, but it's the big ones.
The big ones.
The big ones. Yeah. That way they can get real toasty. I'm definitely not stealing anything in there to save it from the fire. Definitely not.
You're not taking one thing. You're gonna just let it all burn.
I didn't say I would let it burn.
Oh.
I know where all his things are. No, you know what I'm taking? I'm taking his Flash Secret Lab chair.
Oh.
If you're watching, Jay, take that, buddy.
Oh. You better be careful. Jay's supposed to be on next week, so there might be some retribution coming back there.
Oh, he gets his own retribution. Man, stop messing with my game room, Jay.
Oh. Shots
Have you seen
fired.
his shorts?
What's that?
Not the ones he wears, like his YouTube shorts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I watched him in his YouTube shorts.
Yeah. Comes down here and messes with stuff, and then he doesn't tell me what he messes with.
Yeah, he'll move your games around.
Yeah. My wife likes to do that too. She'll go in.
I think it's a wife thing.
Yeah. Jay said one thing he wants to do is come in and leave all my games in the exact same order, but flip them all over.
Oh yeah. It's that. It's.
I was like, please don't.
It's an OCD thing because, like, when I was in my own apartment, I would keep my VHS and my DVDs all in alphabetical order, and my games, and my wife would come in and just move one here or there, and I would know it because I'd be like, "Where is that?" you didn't,
Yeah.
and you know she did.
Yeah.
Game Closet says,
something different.
"What's your favorite oddity in your game room?" That's a really good question.
Oddity. Does it have to be game related? Or can it
How
just
about
be in
we
the
do
game?
one game related, one non-game related?
Okay. Game related. Give me a second. Oddity. Game related.
Yeah, that might be a tough one.
Hang on. So non-game related, I have a single head 15 needle commercial embroidery machine. That's non-game related.
There you go.
Hang on, let me look at something.
In the meantime, while he's looking for something, if you are a creator out there, I don't care how big you are or how small you are. I don't care if you're in another country. If you've got a story to tell, I want to hear about it. I want to showcase it here on Creators Corner. Send me an email, Steve at either ttbgaming.com or steve@thetechbuzz.net. It's in the description. Let me know. I want to hear it. I want to showcase you here on the show. Did you figure it out? Did you find it?
I wouldn't say it's an oddity, but it was my first holy grail item that I ever was able to get. And it's led to a cool friendship and a guy that always gives me shots at conventions now. And it's that. Whoa, that's off from my vision. Hang on. Let me see if I can do this. Okay. Nope, wrong way. Right. And there's a delay. Nope.
What do you point?
That.
Oh.
There.
Oh.
Yeah. The Vectrex.
The Vectrex. I thought it was a Vectrex. I couldn't see that far away.
It is I have a full complete in box Vectrex, the extra controller complete in box. And I saw he's in the chat. Brian, what's up, my dude? Oh, and next question.
Yes.
Brian, BD Retro Mods, makes amazing third-party controllers. And I don't know if you can see it, Brian, but your Vectrex controller is sitting right on top of the Vectrex, right where it belongs, buddy.
I need to check out some of it since I'm doing a lot with the NES. I need to check out some like his controllers that work with the NES. That's kind of like a NES Advantage type thing that I can. I'll have to check his site out and whatnot.
I want him to make a TI-99, or no, the Trash 80 controller.
There you go.
Trash 80 controller, Brian. I know he's working on it.
He wants to know, he said, you mentioned the importance of lighting. Absolutely. Anything specific that you are using or you're looking to get his lighting better for a podcast, and he needs help.
Yes. I use LED panels. I used to use fluorescents inside of light boxes, like soft boxes. The only issue with that is they take up a lot more space.
Mm-hmm.
They tip over real easy because the stands that come with generic sets really suck. And they're hot. So now you can see them. Oh, this is like tripping me out because it's a little delayed. So you can see the three little light panels right there. Those ones are by Newer, Neewer. And what's really cool is you can either plug them in or you can use them with a battery pack. And you can control brightness and temperature. Plus, they have full barn doors on them so that you can shape your lighting. So super, super handy. This exact set is no longer on Amazon, but if like go under my most recent video, not a short, but my most recent video, and you'll see gear that I use. There is a GVM light kit in there, which is very comparable to this and doesn't break the bank. So it's 3 lights. They're all LEDs. You can shape them, tone them, do whatever you need. Good kit. Plus, full disclosure, Amazon affiliate link. So, you know.
Yeah, there's there's a bunch of different ways. Like he uses his just like that 10-2. You definitely, the better the lighting, and I love the way you did it where you have them up high so you can kind of get that hair light on the back of your hair so you don't have to. Like I actually run a separate light for it, but a lot of people don't realize that. Like getting them up, they want to put them right in their face, and then all you do is if they have glasses on, you see the reflection, or they'll tip their glasses. Get them up as high as you can and kind of angle them down at a 45. You can see it; it does wonders. Like you want to be lit evenly.
Yeah, the one that's right here, this center one,
yes.
It looks like it's pointed directly at me, but I actually have the barn doors in such a way it's shaped to only hit the little table that's right there.
Yep.
That is strictly for my top-down lighting. Only on the table, not on me. The other two, I know typically you're supposed to have like a key light, and then you have your side lighting, your backlighting, all that stuff. I don't have any backlighting. I guess unless you count like the LED in the ceiling. But I'm using two side lights to light up both my sides, and then I go in and I have a color correction setup that I do with my footage.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a bunch of different lights out there. I had the four. It was similar to what yours. I think the ones I used were like from Lume Cube. They're like $350 for a set, battery or plug-in. I used them in Cleveland.
Okay.
But I agree with you 100%. Go with the LEDs. You'll stay cooler. We all used to use those soft boxes in the fluorescence, and then you're like baking under like 50 million lights. So
yeah. Oh God, and the bulbs are like this big, man.
You start melting in the summer.
Yeah.
Let me see here. What else? Retro Rob's got a question in the chat room. I'll pull that up here for you.
Okay.
He says you get one console with a full library the rest of your life. What are you picking?
Ooh.
Oh, he's going right for the jugular on this one.
Honestly, there's shovelware for sure. But sometimes that's fun as a palate cleanser. Game Boy Advance.
Why the Game Boy Advance of all systems? Well, I mean, obviously it's portable, but why the Game Boy Advance?
It's got a lot of reimagined or like remade collections. It's got stuff that is like classic Nintendo and classic Sega properties that are on there. It's got amazing RPGs, like wow. And it's got a huge variety of genres on there. It like when you look at the N64, like that's a racing sim, that console basically. There's so many friggin' racing games on there. But the Game Boy Advance has such a vast library of so many different things and different styles of gaming. Like I don't see how you could get bored if that was your only thing that you were ever going to play.
Yeah, my son.
Oh, and plus, totally a plug. If you're going to be at Midwest Gaming Classic, I'm doing two different workshops. One on how to reshell and rescreen a Game Boy Advance, and how to do it with a Game Boy Advance SP as well. So come say hi, hang out.
My son's actually he's been collecting for the Game Boy Advance. It was just a console that he kind of got on board with, and been doing that that's his only retro console that he's really actually trying to get the complete set for. So
Oh, here, this right here, it's pricey, but I was able to find it for a pretty decent price. Okay, sleeper hit on Game Boy Advance right here. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance
Oh,
on the
wow.
Game Boy Advance. Dude, it's so good. Like Jay had it in one of his videos one time and was just like, this game has no right to be as good as it is. And I saw the gameplay. I was like, I need this. And it was several months of me looking for a copy. And I ended up finding one complete in box for less than the cost it normally goes for loose.
So now, are you more or less an inbox collector, or you? It doesn't really matter for you.
Nah, I don't care.
Okay.
One thing I will say, I honestly prefer not getting sealed games because my thing is I will crack the seal.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
care
you'll
how
crack
rare
them.
it is. I'm going to crack the seal. I mean, I'm not an idiot. If I found like a stadium events complete sealed in box, I'm not cracking that seal. I'm going to sell the hell out of that thing and then buy other stuff.
I have one that's loose. It's not sealed, but I have it.
That's
loose.
fine. Doesn't matter. You have one.
I can play. You'd probably go through a lot of my collection for like the disc-based games that are sealed. Only because I found them for like $1 or $2, and I'm just like, chances of me playing this is probably slim to none. So I'm just gonna keep it sealed.
Oh, I'll go through there with a.
I better be careful. I'm right here in Ohio. He'll be at my house next weekend or something.
Next week, it ain't gonna take me that long, man. I could be there before the night's over. Let's go.
Listen to him over here.
You ain't that far away, buddy.
So for those that are watching, before we wrap this up, you mentioned Midwest Gaming Classic. As of right now, as of the recording of this broadcast, what conventions are you going? If people that are fans of you that want to meet you, say hi, hang out, because I've hung out with this guy, good dude up in Cleveland. Where can they find you as of right now?
Okay, so first weekend of April, I'll be at Midwest Gaming Classic. I'll be at Korg in June. The what is that? Columbus,
Yeah,
Ohio
that's in
Retro
Columbus.
Gaming Convention.
I'll probably be there too.
Oh, nice. Um, let's see here. Even if I'm not a guest, I plan on going to Siege, the Southeast Game Exchange, because I heard it's awesome. Let's see here. I will be at the Utah Retro Gaming Expo in August. And I definitely want to go to Cleveland. If it works out, I might be at PRGE this year. I would like to because I wasn't able to go this past year, and now they changed their dates a bit. And then Pittsburgh, I would like to go to that one. I'm not like official or anything with it yet, but I'd like to. And then Torg is the only other one where I haven't heard back yet. So maybe I'll be going to that. But that's also the same weekend as Really Rad Weekend in Florida. So I will be at one of those. So few coming up and 3 are confirmed.
Wow, you got a busy summer ahead of you, and even into the fall, right?
Well, yeah, and then we'll have like family camping trips and all kinds of fun stuff in there. So I'm excited for that. We haven't been able to go camping since before our kids were born.
Oh wow! So you got a busy schedule coming up for the foreseeable future. That's a good thing, though. I mean, it keeps you busy, keeps everything moving. Guys, if you have not, we brought it up before, but if you haven't, go check out Kris's website, GameDad. I'm going to pull it up here again. If you haven't visited it, go subscribe, give him a like, go comment on his videos. No, but seriously, go watch his room tours. You will be amazed. Make sure you grab yourself a cup of coffee, sit down, watch his tour. I gave you a little sampling of it, and then you can get into some of his videos as he goes into, checking out laptops to gaming computers, everything, you name it, he's got it on here. And then you can watch the many, many hairstyles of Kris.
Yeah.
I bring that up because remember we were in Cleveland, and I think Brandy was saying something about like she was saying something about shaving my head, and you're like, oh, I'll shave my head. It was like something for like you're like I don't care, I'll do it, and we're just like, really? He was like, Jay's like, yeah, he'll do it. I was like, yeah, he'll do it.
Yeah, no, I've had my hair like down past my shoulders. I had a beard that went about halfway down my chest. And yeah, no, I mean, hair is hair. It'll grow back.
So we said to Brandy, we're like, yeah, okay, Kris volunteered to do that, and you're just like, yeah, I'll do it. That's fine.
Down.
Let's do it. Yeah, so we'll definitely be able to see each other as it sits right now in Korgs. So that'll be a lot of fun in person, and hopefully some of the other conventions that I'll be at, you'll also be attending as well. That'll be a lot of fun. I really appreciate you coming on here and taking the time, especially short notice. Poor Jay. Jay was supposed to be on, and he got sick. But he'll be here next week. Who knows what he's going to say about you after you went after him. So,
yeah, bring it on.
I'm just kidding. Again, guys, make sure you check him out. Go subscribe to his channel. And guys, I hope you all enjoy it. And if you have any other creators that you want on, please send me an email. Let me know. Until next time, guys, keep it buzzing. See you next time.